It is that time for the Washington Commanders. A lot to talk about between both teams, and obviously what we're dealing with, what they're dealing with, and this game is bigger than anything, and for a lot of reasons. So we're gonna get right into it. So let's get into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
This video is sponsored by BetUS. It has been a rough road for the Philadelphia Eagles this season for all Eagle fans. Will the Eagles rise to the occasion or continue to play down to the competition? If I'm going all in, giving it my all for a Super Bowl, I'm going to bet $500 and get $7,000 back at the end of the year, and we still stay true to the team that we believe in. But will the problems continue? We will find out. Make sure to check out BetUS. Get a 150% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with promotion code YouTube150. I want to thank BetUS for sponsoring this live stream or video, and let's get back to the content. What's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So a lot to discuss here regarding the Eagles, the Commanders. Big game for a lot of reasons here. This could really designate where the Eagles really go after this game. Beating Washington now at home will take care of things, especially for the tiebreaker, if there is one, at the end of the year. Because the last thing you want to do is go into this Thursday night game at home, lose to the Commanders, and then having to deal with them later on in their stadium where it's going to get kind of crazy. A lot is on the line here, the division, especially if you could beat them. And if you don't beat them on Thursday night tonight, then, the Washington Commanders have a really easy schedule going forward with Tennessee and the Falcons, the Saints. They still have the Cowboys. I think they still have the Giants again. Like, they have a lot of easy teams on their schedule. Now, I don't really go by, between these two teams, which team is better, who's played the better roster, the better teams, whatever. To some extent, it matters. To some, it really doesn't. The Commanders have lost against two pretty good teams, and they've lost to a bunch of they've won to a bunch of bad teams. The Eagles have probably beat maybe two good teams, and the Eagles have won against a bunch of great games this season. But Jaden Daniels has less talent around him with more, but Jalen Hurts has more with less. I don't believe any of that. If it comes down to Sunday, who's ready to play in this game? So I'll be honest with you, like Washington, I give them a lot of praise because they're pretty much rebuilt the team. They got rid of Chase Young, they got rid of Montez Sweat. They're really giving away their old assets. And I got to say, Jaden Daniels, that offense with Cliff Kingsbury, it's really catered to what Jaden Daniels is really good at, and that's awesome. They have a couple tackles banged up going into this game. Brian Robinson's playing, but I don't think he's 100% whatsoever. Between him and Austin Eikler, Austin Eikler, a really good shifty back. Nothing compared to Saquon Barkley, but still a nice 1-2 punch they have there. Obviously with Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown and De'Ami Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus, they have good weapons there. Is this the best wide receiver core the Eagles defense has faced the entire season? Probably not. But because you look at the past, you look at what has happened in the past, Washington always plays us close to the belt, close to the chest. Okay. And it seems like Washington has been a better opponent at Lincoln Financial Field than any other team in the NFC East right now. Okay, but this is a different year for the Eagles defensively because you're under Vic Fangio right now, a new defensive coordinator. It's a night and day roster. Maybe your defensive line is lackluster at times, and you don't have that big 8-prex predator on the edge. But man, they still get pressures. They still get sacks when they count, and even if you don't have a closer, you have a secondary, you have a couple of very, very, very good linebackers behind it that is going to get those run fits and run support and coverage. And this is one thing that, Washington fans have not really abided to is, they think of the last few years. I'm thinking about this year and this year only because this Eagles defense has never been like this. We have never had a better secondary over a better defensive line, okay? And I think there's a nice balance there, and I think that's something different than a lot of these offenses are starting to see with now Cooper DeJean missing time in the past and now really being so comfortable now, how much of a factor he's been. Quinyon Mitchell has given up his most against Chris Olave at 23 yards. The Eagles have not done well defensively against Terry McLaurin in the past. But, Quinyon Mitchell, he'll be lined up on him. I know Slay hasn't been very good against Terry McLaurin, but I'm sorry, but I've faced a lot of other receivers this past year that are way better than Terry McLaurin by a landslide. Okay, so my only fear on the defensive side of the ball for the Philadelphia Eagles is we got to contain Jane Daniels in the pocket and obviously stop the run. Okay, and that's one of the biggest things there between Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson. You want to stop Jaden Daniels' legs in the pocket. That's what's really going to matter in this game. Offensively for the Eagles, you really, okay, and yes, I forgot to talk about Zach Ertz as well. The no yards after catch tight end in Zach Ertz, first time playing in Philadelphia. Offensively for the Eagles, the wild card is going to be Nick Sirianni, okay? Because every game it's always like, what are we going to get from Nick? Are we going to take points on the board? Last week we did it. The week before that, he way too many points were taken off the board. The Jaguars almost came back to beat us. Okay, Dante Fowler is having a fantastic year on that defensive line for Washington. Okay, you have Payne. You have one of their linebackers, Luvu, whatever his name is. He's had a pretty good year this year. I don't think better than Zach Baum, but he's had a really good year. Marshawn Lattimore's not playing in this game. And it looks like he will be out. This is his second game, after trading for him. The Eagles' third-round pick that we trade for, obviously, with Jahan Dotson and stuff like that. So you're going to go back to, obviously, Juice and Juiced on one side and obviously having their second-year corner on the other side that hasn't played very well against the Philadelphia Eagles. The one thing that Washington will have defensively is they will have that pass rush. They will go after Jalen Hurts, and this is where I don't put that much blame on Jalen Hurts because in that Cowboys game, too much vertical was going downfield. They went to that vertical passing way too early. They kept with it. They barely ran with Saquon Barkley, but they had to really conserve Saquon Barkley. Okay, I get it. They had to be conservative with it because they want to save him up for this game on Thursday night. He only had 14 carries. He had only 5 carries in the first half of that game against the Cowboys. So they want to save Saquon Barkley as much as possible. But when you see a defense blitzing you, getting to your quarterback, when you're taking 3.5 to 4 seconds to get the football out of your hands, and you don't change the play to something else, whether it's short passing game, having a crosser, having anything middle of the field, and there was nothing middle of the field last week. And that's one of the biggest problems that I had last week. You're allowing this pass rush to continue because the Cowboys have nothing else to worry about defensively because you're literally sitting back there doing almost the same thing. So when you don't change it up, and Kellen Moore's bread and butter is the short passing game, and don't take things underneath and things like that, or take those checkdowns, Hurts is going to get sacked, and he got sacked 5 times last week, which I thought it was way too much. That shouldn't have happened. It's not on Jalen Hurts. It's on, obviously, the play calling, the route combinations. If you're throwing a vertical, and everything's mostly verticals, okay, you're not going to win a football game that way. Changes and adjustments are going to have to be made as fast as possible because Dan Quinn and that DC over there are not going to waste time. They're going to see that Jalen Hurts from past games, especially this Cowboy game, is he's holding onto the football for too long. And consistently, they're going to do it every single snap in that sequence. And Dan Quinn is going to fire on all cylinders to get pressure on Jalen Hurts. And that's going to be the bad thing. So hopefully that's going to be changed a little bit. But you have to get this run game going with Saquon Barkley. The Washington Commanders are 28th ranked against the run. They're only 4th against the pass or 5th against the pass. But let me tell you something. Washington has not faced a pair of receivers like the Eagles have. Dallas Goedert's back. Jordan Mailata's back at left tackle. There is no other receiver core out there that they have faced this season that is almost exactly alike like the Eagles this year. Okay? Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are 2 number 1 receivers. They are. I think everybody needs to really realize that because, when there wasn't any no A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith you can always rely on Devontae Smith to make those big plays. I'm sorry. Devontae Smith could start for any other team in the NFL by himself. A.J. Brown could start for another team by himself, obviously. So, because of what you have at cornerback right now, which I think is a big weakness for the Commanders. Okay, they have good, they flush to the ball. They have good linebackers. They have good, their safeties aren't bad. Fantastic. Okay. But I'm telling you, the weakness is going to be in their secondary, is going to be their cornerbacks. And that play action is going to help tremendously. Run with Saquon, get that play action in there, let them bite on some of this because they're going to be aggressive towards Jalen Hurts, and let these wide receivers make plays. I don't think they're going to hold up. If they can mix in some checkdowns, screen game, and the short passing game and not throwing vertical all the time. And look, if the Eagles feel like they have a matchup, they're going to take it. And it's perfectly fine. I feel like they should always work up to those big plays, but taking a shot downfield, anything could happen. And on top of everything else, when corners are not playing well, okay, and they're sensing that they're really, the receiver's going to say, look, throw to me again. He's grabbing me. A flag is going to pop up. He's grabbing me. They're going to get that flag, even if the catch is not made. So obviously the communication from receivers to quarterback to say, throw my way. He's going to hold me again. So I think this is a really good matchup, but I think between the Eagles' strengths to the Washington's weaknesses, I think I think we match up pretty well towards their weaknesses. I do. Like I said, the wild card is Nick Sirianni. Get the run game started, short passing game, screen game, and then work for those big plays downfield. But most of all, you're going to run Saquon over 25 fucking times in this game. And that's where I'm really holding it right now. And look, I give a lot of respect to the Commanders, okay? Unfortunately, the media is praising them more than the Eagles, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, you can kick 4 fucking field goals in one game and win on a Hail Mary pass, and that quarterback will get all the fucking credit because it's a rookie. That's why. Okay, it's a fresh team. New ownership, new GM, new head coach. They had over $90-something million in cap space, and they pretty much spent money on 17 free agents. 18 free agents, I think. Okay, that's a lot. And for a team that's that fresh, spending all this money, coming together, new quarterback, new system, or similar system what Jayden Daniels is used to, Jayden Daniels, that's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. Jayden Daniels has only thrown 2 picks this season. So we could talk about how much, Jayden Daniels is doing less with more, okay? And Jalen Hurts is doing more with less. That's the consensus of what the conversations are like between fan bases. Okay? I think the Eagles should beat the shit out of them. Not by 3 scores. I think theoretically it will be a close game for a nice half. But they will start to separate in the third quarter. I have 34-24 is my score for the game. This is a hyped game. This is a big game because realistically, okay, the Eagles have the Rams. The Eagles have a couple, potentially, if the Eagles win their next 2 games, they're Super Bowl bound. They really are Super Bowl bound, okay? And with Washington, if the Eagles lose this game, it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them at the end because I feel like Washington could really win out the rest of their schedule with Tennessee, the Saints, Falcons, Giants again. I mean, they still have, they have precisely a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. And they have a bye week after this game, so they're only going to get healthier and better by that time. And potentially, who knows, maybe you'll meet them again. But realistically, the Eagles really have to take care of business. I don't care if it's a sloppy, ugly game. This is going to be one of those tough games. But the other point in my fucking mind is maybe this game is going to be as tough. If the Eagles play on all 4 cylinders, I don't think the Commanders' defense can handle the against the pass. I don't think they're Saquon Barkley has always had really good games against Washington. And let me tell you, this is a different defense from the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a non-comparable defense of what we had in the past. Yeah, the Eagles might not have the best pass rush in the league, but let me tell you, they're very balanced on both sides. A lot of young talent, a lot of young faces, and I think sky's the limit here. I want to see a couple picks. I want to see a lot more. Like I said, I don't think this is the most fearsome wide receiver group we've seen from the Washington Commanders. They have a nice pair of running backs. Jane Daniels is a good quarterback. Great, he's got good legs. He could run around, and those third and shorts, those third and longs are going to be really interesting because the Eagles need to make big stops on there, get pressure. Defensive line really needs to pull out in this game a little bit more than what they have been. I think their best game was against the New York Giants. So, I think with 8 sacks in one game. But post-bye, this is a big test for the Commanders because this defense is like a top 3 defense pretty much in the league right now. And there's a lot on the line here regarding everything. So, I feel comfortable. In past weeks before the bye, I probably wouldn't have felt as comfortable having this game. But since the bye, they have been playing pretty damn good. And like I said, Nick Sirianni is the wild card here. And what plays, and I know he's going to be aggressive, and that's fine. But being chaotic is a whole nother thing. And hopefully he's smart. Take the points. Don't let Washington come back in this game if they get a lead, because it will happen pretty damn easily. Okay, so I give kudos for Washington for how they've played this year, the team that they have this year, a pretty damn solid quarterback that can move with his legs pretty nicely. But I think the Eagles are just better. I think they're just better from a roster standpoint. They're just better matchup-wise, and I think the strengths go against their weaknesses perfectly. So it's all up to the coaching staff, and I'm excited, and I hope you guys are excited. Nothing against Washington fans because they played well. I give them respect, and if we get beat by Washington, I will give them respect for it, where it's due. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. Hope everyone's praying, and, I feel good. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I want to make a quick video, no editing, no nothing. I just want to make something quick for you guys. Give my big take on it. Going forward. But much respect for the Commanders and the roster they have because they have been one of the most surprising teams. But they haven't played Philadelphia yet. And you can't compare other years to Philadelphia, and you can't compare other years to Washington. It's a new team on both sides. Both sides. So we will see what happens. You guys have a fantastic day. Make sure you check out BetUS. Subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. I will be streaming the Washington Commanders-Eagles game Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime for the live play-by-play. Come join, and I will see you guys later. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes it up, follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.